If you're Australian, some of your taxpayer money, or even ratepayer money, is being diverted to programs aimed at promoting specific social agendas in the form of grants. Thank you to viewers for sending these in. For example, the Australian government's Play Our Way program, where they're investing $200 million to give women and girls more opportunities to access, participate and stay involved in sport and physical activity. Apparently, men and boys don't need a similarly targeted campaign. The reason for this, they say, is that women in Australia are underrepresented in sport and physical activity. If we scroll down a bit, you'll see a link under Stream 1 Facilities that says an interim list of executed grant agreements is now available. Clicking on that, we can download a list of these executed grants. It's worth noting this list was published on 11th of June 2025. Here's the list. For example, on page 3, the Victoria Daly Regional Council received a grant for Courageous Connections, empowering women and girls through culturally safe sports, recreation and wellbeing hub development. $1.8 million. On the next line, the Yugul Mangi Aboriginal Corporation got funding for their new Sports Precinct for women's spaces to the tune of $2 million. That's a lot of space. The cultural funding continues on the next page with the Doomadgee Aboriginal Shire Council receiving funding for female inclusive and culturally appropriate facilities for women and girls of Doomadgee. $1.9 million. For comparison, the Glenelg Bowling Club for their women's and disabled toilet upgrades received a paltry $79,000. To be fair, that sounds reasonable, but it still begs the question, what about the men's toilets? Are the government only willing to fund the upgrade of women's toilets? There seems to be a significant disparity in funding focus. Now, just to be clear, I'm not here to bash these individual clubs. They'll take funding where they can get it. Of course they will. I'd do the same thing if I was able. But we have to be clear, this is taxpayer money being spent here. Is $2 million to fund Aboriginal women's spaces a good investment? I don't know. I'm just asking. Under Stream 2, Participation and Equipment, there's also another downloadable list. This list has a much larger focus on identity politics. For example, the Kama Umaja Women's Cup for women and girls from the African diaspora and culturally and linguistically diverse communities received a cool $250,000. It's not for all women, just women who happen to be from Africa or the called community. At least Africa is a continent. Some funding is for people of a particular country only. Keeping Afghan girls active, $857,000. There's even funding based on one's religion. Making moves, supporting exercise and physical activity among Muslim women, $377,000. And in some instances, even though this is supposed to be funding for girls only, we see rolling towards equality, growing skating and roller derby opportunities for women, girls and non-binary people, $200,000. If I was born a man, as long as I currently identify as a non-binary person, I can now receive some funding for roller skating. But as I hinted at before, even ratepayers are forking out some money for these social and political agendas. The City of Sydney Council, shown on screen, led by Lord Mayor Clover Moore, also offer some socially inclusive grants. Here's their grants and sponsorships page. Under Success Stories, you can find a list of past approved grants. There's a whole bunch of approved grants for this year. Taking a look at Community Services grants, you can see they have grants for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people experiencing homelessness, asylum seekers, but this one I found interesting, BLACK, spelt with a Q, Aboriginal Corporation, which is described as a culturally safe retreat for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people from the LGBTQIA+ SB communities. Some of you may not be aware what the SB stands for. S stands for sister girl and B stands for brother boy, which are specific terms used by some Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities to refer to transgender Aboriginal people. I would argue that the acronym is already complicated enough. If sister girls and brother boys are essentially just transgender people, aren't they already included under the T of the LGBT acronym? Isn't it just adding unnecessary complexity to an already complex term? But who am I to judge what the limits of this acronym should be? Anyway, the Black Aboriginal Corporation has a presence on Instagram. You can see pictures of lots of interesting people dressing up in lots of interesting attire. Your ratepayer money is helping them run Thai cooking classes, not to mention Chinese and Indian cooking. Yes, the irony of Aboriginal sister boys teaching Asian cooking is not lost on me. Anyway, those are just some of the ways your taxpayer and ratepayer money is being spent in modern, progressive Australia.